St. Kitts and Nevis to legalize cannabis for medicinal and scientific purposes. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Thursday, February 21. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Ricardo Roberts. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. The Dr. Timothy Harris-led administration says it will consult on a framework for the use of medical marijuana purposes after a national commission submitted a number of recommendations on the use of the drug in the Twin Island Federation. Prime Minister Harris told Parliament on Wednesday that the National Marijuana Commission, which was appointed to consult with the public and inquire into the wide-ranging issues surrounding marijuana use, issued 13 recommendations for consideration, and he said Cabinet has accepted them. Harris told lawmakers that the Commission recommended that the use of cannabis and its derivatives for the medicinal and scientific purposes be permitted under license and strict legislative regime. It said that regime should include the establishment of a medicinal licensing authority to regulate importation, local cultivation and production, a requirement that medical practitioners and herbalists complete a requisite amount of continuous medical education hours on cannabis. The Prime Minister said the Commission could not agree that cannabis should be legalized for religious or recreational purposes. Cabinet has also agreed with the recommendations that the penalty for possession of less than 15 grams of cannabis and growth of less than 5 plants per household be reduced to a ticketable offense without a criminal record, and that the court be allowed to expunge the criminal records of persons convicted in the past of possession of less than 15 grams of cannabis. But the Commission recommended that smoking and using cannabis in public places remain a criminal offense and attract substantial penalties, and that offenses and penalties be introduced for driving under the influence of the substance. Now, Prime Minister Harris said the Cabinet has also determined that the use and possession of and sale to persons under the age of 18 years of cannabis should be strictly prohibited. A United Kingdom Parliamentary Committee is calling on the government to set a date for all overseas territories to legalize same-sex marriages. In a report published on Wednesday entitled Global Britain and the British Overseas Territories, Resetting the Relationship, the Commons Foreign Affairs Committee said the lack of marriage rights for same-sex couples in some territories was a notable point of divergence and friction with the UK. The report goes further to state that it is time for all overseas territories to legalize same-sex marriage and for the UK government to do more than simply support it in principle. It must be prepared to step in as it did in 2001 when an order in council decriminalized homosexuality in its overseas territories that had refused to do so. The government should set a date by which it expects all overseas territories to have legalized same-sex marriage. If that deadline is not met, the government should intervene through legislation or an order in council. This is one of several sweeping recommendations handed down by the committee that looked into the future of the relationship with UK overseas territories. Another recommendation that has far-reaching consequences is removing belongership and its equivalents. The committee said these provisions are wrong, and it's calling for UK residents to have voting rights and be allowed to run for office in overseas territories. The committee also addressed the issue of public beneficial ownership registries, saying the UK government must provide a clear and detailed timetable for the publication of registers of beneficial ownership in line with Parliament's recognition that this is a matter of national security. The UK has 14 overseas territories, including the Cayman Islands, Bermuda, and the British Virgin Islands. In Guyana, there has been a delay in the hearing of the request for the Court of Appeal to grant a stay in the lower court's ruling that the no-confidence vote against government was valid and elections should be held. The setback was caused by mistakes in the matter filed by Attorney General Basil Williams, who is also seeking an order to preserve the president and cabinet beyond the 90-day deadline given by the Constitution after the passage of a no-confidence motion. The details in this Newsroom Guyana report.
The Attorney General on February 5, 2019 filed the appeal to the High Court ruling on the application by Christopher Ram in which the Chief Justice ruled that the Cabinet was immediately disbanded on the passage of the no-confidence motion on the night of December 21st. The appeal by the Attorney General was accompanied by a sworn summons in which he is seeking an order to stay the effect of the Chief Justice's ruling and a conservatory order to preserve the status quo, where the Cabinet, President and Government remain in office until the matter is finally determined. However, the appeal was defective because the opposition leader Bara Jagdeo was not properly named as a respondent in the appeal. The Attorney General's chamber subsequently refiled the application on February 15th, but that too was defective because while the opposition leader was now properly named as a respondent, the date on the summons was not changed. As a result, Justice Rishi Prasad informed the Attorney General that he needed to make the necessary correction and have a new summons re-sworn before he could entertain the matter and set a date by which he could accept submissions and make a ruling. The Attorney General tried to get the judge to accept the February 5th application by simply adding the leader of the opposition as a respondent, but the judge ruled that he was not empowered to amend the application to add the name because the rules of the court dictate that a meeting of the full court of 3 judges was needed to make such an amendment. The Attorney General undertook to make the corrections immediately. Once the correction is made, Justice Prasad undertook to deal with the matter early next week. The Chief Justice had ruled on January 31st that the government cannot remain in office beyond 90 days of the passage of the no-confidence motion, unless the election's deadline is extended by a vote of 2/3 of the National Assembly. Anil Nandlal, attorney for the opposition leader Bara Jagdeo, said he was disappointed that the matter had been delayed.
As you know, we wanted this matter to be expeditiously disposed of as quickly as possible so that we can get on to the other aspects of the matter.
Staying in Guyana, senior police officers and officials of various public entities susceptible to corruption may soon be required to declare their assets to the Integrity Commission. Chairman of the Commission, Kumar Dorasamy, says that at a press conference on Wednesday that recommendations are being made to add more public officials to the list of persons who must declare what they own.
The Integrity Commission was instituted in 2018. According to the law, the Commission is responsible for securing the integrity of persons in public life. To improve its work, the Commission is completing a list of recommendations to have Deputy Commissioners of Police, Divisional and Assistant Commissioners, and Divisional Crime and Traffic Chiefs under its radar.
The police department is so large and so many sections they have. You have Borbi's division, Escribo, Demerara, and so on. We should include these people. These are people in position who can be susceptible somehow to people approaching them. And we have heard all kinds of allegations.
Currently, only the Commissioner of Police is required from the Guyana Police Force to declare his assets. The Commission is also looking to have officials from the Land, Deeds and Commercial Registries, the Special Organized Crime Unit SOCU, the State Assets Recovery Agency SARA, and the Financial Intelligence Unit FIU declare their assets. Some of the listed agencies were established over the past 3 years and therefore are not covered in the Act governing the Commission. Since its establishment 1 year ago, Dorasamy disclosed that a total of 590 public officials have submitted their declarations, while 716 are still outstanding.
Well, some people didn't think it was necessary. Oh, the Integrity Commission, what's that? They're not really aware of what this commission is about. So that is why we intend to go out on some public outreach programs. We decide to do some TV programs so people can be aware. We'll move into the other areas. Some people think it's a big joke, really. I never heard about this commission. What's that now? Why do I have to tell them? We're not concerned with the private person. People holding public office must be accountable to the people who pay them their money.
The chairman noted that the Commission, which is tasked with ensuring there is honesty in public office, has published 5 lists of defaulters thus far. The list for the Ministry of Finance and the Judiciary are left to be published. The Commission, Dorasamy said, will be hiring 5 investigative officers shortly to go after the defaulters.
Coming up in Caribbean Newsline, Haiti's opposition party puts government on notice of stepped-up protests. Stay with us. More news after this.
The Barbados Bay Jetty also offers expansive views, but more importantly, the reopening of the jetty after a decade and a half has significant economic benefits. Patricia Nicholson explains.
Truckers no longer need to journey 10 kilometers to transport material from the Studley Park quarry to the Scarborough port in preparation for shipment to Trinidad. Now it's a 1-kilometer drive to the Barbados Bay Jetty, where the material is placed on a barge for the sister isle.
Opposition political parties in Haiti say they will hold fresh demonstrations across the country on Friday in their demands for the resignation of President Jovenel Moïse, even as the government has started efforts to hold a national dialogue on the situation. President Moïse has met with the former provisional president Josalome Prévert as part of the initiative after the government indicated that persons who have had the opportunity to serve the Republic can, through their experiences, contribute to the search for answers to the current political challenges. Now, prior to the meetings, Moïse also met with members of the Economic Forum, with whom he exchanged views and pledged to make every effort to ensure that the dialogue can start as soon as possible. The government said it is convinced another Haiti is really possible through a sincere dialogue. Opposition political parties have been staging street demonstrations in support of their calls for President Moïse to step down after accusing him of not investigating allegations of corruption in the previous government over Petrocarib. At least 8 people have died since the start of the demonstrations on February 13th. Meantime, the Bahamas Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis says the government will resume repatriations to Haiti and reopen its embassies there. He says his understanding is that the situation in Haiti has settled and officials are now in discussions with the Haitian embassy to recommence repatriations, hopefully on Friday. Last week, the government announced the closure of the Bahamian embassy in the Haitian capital and a temporary halt in deportations to the country. In a statement on Wednesday, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said that following the required consultations, the diplomatic and consular staff of the Embassy of the Bahamas in Port-au-Prince have resumed their normal diplomatic functions and consular services. Foreign Affairs Minister Darren Henfield told reporters that from what his team is seeing, things have quieted down in Haiti. Attorney General of Belize, Michael Prévert, says there's an urgent need for cyberbullying legislation in the country. His comments follow the circulation of pornographic images on social media over the weekend. He says the Office of the Attorney General has been involved in drafting a new piece of legislation to address cyberbullying. The AG says his ministry is working with several other government agencies to ensure that the new law will cover all areas of harmful online activity. Commenting on the delay in implementing such legislation, Prévert said they did not want to rush it and they have a weak law that allows perpetrators to walk free.
We have been working on it to ensure that not only can we capture when it happens or capture when these videos, especially with minors, are put into the public or even made, but we have to make sure that we are able to tie it to a particular individual. Many times when people get caught electronically, they claim they were hacked, they claim that somebody stole their computer, they claim that that's not their phone. We also have to make sure that the legislation is airtight. So when we charge someone, they don't just get off simply because of a technicality in the real sense. So we are working on it, we're fine-tuning it. We were focused mainly on the ones involving minors, because then if a child is underage, not legally allowed to have sex, then that is extremely troubling for us, and we want to address that. In terms of adults, or consenting adults who may even be willing to participate or accept videos of them engaging in that activity, if they don't consent for it to be released, then we also have to look at that piece of legislation.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, England overcome a record ODI total from the West Indies to take the opening game of the 5-match series. Stay with us. Sport is next.
Barbados, renowned for its pristine beachfront and fantastic weather, continues to leave quite an impression on newcomers to the island and returning visitors. The Caribbean island, quite popular as a vacation hotspot, is not only beautiful due to its natural aesthetics. The island of Barbados continues to grow in popularity because of unique connections developed with our people, our culture. We can't wait to welcome you.
Dance, jump up to this, non-stop turn and twist.
What up, it's your boy French Montana.
It's me, Smokey Robinson.
It's your boy Davido.
Hi, I'm Elmay.
This is Buju Banton, and I'll be performing live with the Shine Low Band in St. Kitts Music Festival.
Don't miss the 23rd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival, June 26th to June 30th, 2019. Featuring Buju Banton, Smokey Robinson, Popcorn, and Elmay. Also, Davido, French Montana, Fimba, Edwin Yearwood and Crossfire, Coco T, Skinny Fabulous, Shal Marshall, Charlie Black, Farmer Nappy, Nadia Batson, Infamous, New Vibes Band, and many, many more. It will be epic. It will be mind-blowing. It will be jaw-dropping. It will be awesome. The St. Kitts Music Festival, an experience like no other. For more information and to buy tickets, log on to www.stkittsmusicfestival.com.
Every Friday evening, I can't wait till the weekend.
Blessed love. I go by the name Black Hero, is me born and raised in a yard, Jamaica, nothing a dilute, nothing a water down. Blessed. The real fact is I'm just a youth that was searching, yearning for like knowledge, and music just became that medium that brought it to me and also gave me the ability to speak what I learned, you see me, through it. So right now I feel like I'm a vessel. I'm channeling energy right now.
Chris Gayle's 24th one-day 100 went in vain as West Indies paid dearly for a plethora of missed chances in the field, allowing England to complete their highest ever runs chase in one-day internationals and win the opening contest of the 5-match series by 6 wickets on Wednesday evening. Asked to chase a venue record 361, world number 1 England hardly broke a sweat as they reached their target in the penultimate over with 8 balls to spare and carve out a piece of history at the storied Kensington Oval with what was also the 3rd highest successful runs chase in history. They bettered their previous best runs chase of 350 against New Zealand at Nottingham 4 years ago. England were propelled by opener Jason Roy, who blasted 123 off 85 balls, while Joe Root added 102 off 97 deliveries.
It was difficult, but and that was the end of Jason Roy. He looked as if he'd done. Owen Morgan came to the crease. Morgan had time just to get himself in, but catches still went down. Lovely shot. Little tickle down the leg side brings Root's 50. There's another. Down it went. coming thick and fast. 6 from Morgan. That's a shot he plays so well. Excellent combination for England. That's a towering 6 from the captain. Plays that. It's just so natural. Wonderful entertainment for the crowd. Morgan slapped it eventually to Jason Holder. Ben Stokes came in, looked belligerent. th one-day 100 for Joe Root. England needed one to win. Joe Root and Puran out on the boundary. Was it a high ball? No, it wasn't. And Josh Butler finished things off. 5-match series.
Now, after the match, West Indies captain Jason Holder heaped praises on the team for cementing what was a record total at the Oval, and he defended the bowlers, saying they created enough chances for wickets to fall.
Yeah, credit to our batters. I thought we batted really well. To get 360 was remarkable from our batters. At the halfway stage, we felt we were really in the game, but obviously we didn't bowl as well as we would like, and we didn't help ourselves in the field. You can stand here in hindsight and say a few things. Obviously the bowlers did create the chances for us, we just didn't hold them. I think when you calculate the chances that we put down, it's probably in the mass of 6-7 chances. So you can't put good players down, dangerous players like that. So it was definitely a bitter pill to swallow, but hopefully we got to be a lot better in the next game.
Holder was also in high praises for the returning Chris Gayle, who powered the Windies to their record total.
Extremely pleased, I just love the way he went about his innings. He took his time, gave himself a really good chance, and then he exploded in the middle and he batted deep for us. Credit to Chris, he's obviously been a star with us, and it's really good to see him out there playing the way he's played. And hopefully in the games to come, he could give us a little bit more of that.
Meanwhile, England captain Owen Morgan was elated over his side's overall performance.
Calm nature in which we came back with the ball. I thought the West Indies for a long time looked like posting 380 upwards, close to 400 actually, and I thought the way in which we approached probably the last 10-15 overs in particular really halted them a little bit and brought us back into the game. And I think with the nature in which we went about the chase, knowing that there was a short side with a howling wind going into it, sort of allowed the handicap probably between 30 on top. So it felt like a 330 chase as opposed to a 360, and the wicket I thought was outstanding. But I suppose you can't really look past the opening partnership, Johnny Bairstow and Jason Roy, and then Jason to go on and play such a commanding role at the top of the order really did set us up beautifully. And then Joe Root playing a key role in us winning quite convincingly.
Switching sports now, the cash-strapped Trinidad and Tobago Gymnastics Federation will in March elect a new executive that will be tasked with finding the money to pay gymnast Seema Williams. Back in 2006, Williams challenged the federation in court when she was replaced by Marissa Dick in the Trinidad and Tobago's Olympic team. The court had ordered the federation to pay Seema damages. Vice presidential candidate Dale Ali says repaying Seema will be high on the next executive's agenda.
Over 2 years on, and it seems that the National Gymnastics Federation is still struggling in the fallout from the non-selection of gymnast Seema Williams from Rio 2016. The body, which was led by Andy Gomez-Burke, was faced with the task of finding money to pay Williams, who won the case against the TTGF. It's been a challenge that they've had to cope with since, but head coach of Olympia Gymnastics, Dale Ali, who will be going up for the position of vice president of the TTGF in the coming election, says he has the answer.
Well, it's already resolved. One, it's a court judgment. There's nothing that we can do against that. We'll have to pay her money. How we go about paying her money is the other thing. Is that we don't have any money to pay her, one, the federation in itself. But I made recommendations like make Seema an icon. Let's have a competition and pay from it every year. Call it the Seema Williams Classic.
As for the other athlete that was involved in the 2016 Olympic controversy, Ali says no word has been heard from Marissa Dick.
We don't have any say over Marissa Dick. Marissa is a foreign athlete. She has been training. We can't say we've written her. If she's training, she's training. If she's not, she's still entitled to represent Trinidad and Tobago.
Ali thinks Gomez Burke helped the organization to get their financial books back in order following the ordeal with Williams, but he believed that he lacked the technical understanding of the sport to take them forward.
The reason why he didn't get Dale Ali my support is because of his lack of technical ability, understanding what is required to develop a sport and to develop an entire country, not just a sport. He sees it as a business, but it's a little more than that.
Ali believes that they have the athletes to take the sport forward, and at present they are expanding to include other areas in the sport. Come March 16th, the organization will be hoping to find the answers that benefits all.
And that's the sports. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Again, the major developments of this day, the St. Kitts and Nevis Cabinet agrees with a recommendation to legalize cannabis for medicinal and scientific purposes. And in sport, England complete their highest ever runs chase in ODIs and win the opening contest of the 5-match series against West Indies by 6 wickets. That's Caribbean Newsline for news and sports round the clock. Subscribe to CanadaNews.com for more of our programming. Log on to CaribVision.tv and check out our YouTube channel. We'll be back here again tomorrow, but from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching. Have yourselves a good night.